scan on, people. We're back in the house. It's 12th man. It's Arsenal talk. And the Champions League is back. We have a great game this evening. I'm actually looking forward to it, to be fair. I actually genuinely am. It's good to have it back, I think, anyway. Champions League is something I've always been excited for. And I think when I realised Arsenal were at that level a few years ago where Europa League was where it was at, or there was a year we were completely out of Europe, I kind of thought, let's just look forward to it and let's just look forward to one game a week, and I missed it. Then we got back into the Europa League and I missed the Champions League. And I don't think you appreciate how much you miss it. And there's so many games on Tuesday or Wednesday night at the Emirates. I was like, oh, Shakhtar the next tonight, shall we? And I'm like, go. Honestly, my advice to anybody is go to every single game you can, because when you are in a bad season, and it could happen again at Arsenal, let's hope it doesn't, you really do realise how much you miss it. So do me a favor, people. Please make sure you hit like and you hit subscribe on this one. Make sure you are scanning the QR code for Match Bingo for tonight's game. Please make sure that you're involved in that. Please let me know if you win. Scan the QR code. You can credit as little as £5 to play. And it will automatically allow you to play bingo whilst the game is on. And I have come very close to winning twice now. I'm like the most unluckiest person, by the way. Even on the fantasy football that I've done, I've never won it. I'm just one of those people. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that there's some people out there that are just very lucky that hit red, hit black. But for me, I ain't one of those guys. So, yeah, make sure you play Match Bingo. Make sure you've downloaded that, people. And make sure you're also getting the jerseys on OK Jerseys. Retro jerseys, you've got the replica kits for this season as well on there, only for £15. And they're very good quality. And you've got 8% off if you use 12-man, 1, 2, and man. So that's me. Listen, I'll be honest. I'm looking forward to this one, but I'll be lying if I say that I'm a little bit nervy about some of it, because this new format, I just don't want it to get in the way of the Premier League. And by doing that, you've got to go and win as many games as possible. We've worked out in the new format, you probably need between 15 and 18 points out of the 8 games to get into that kind of top 8. I think last season, we got something like 21 points, was it? Or something like that, where I think we lost the game and won all the other 7. That might have been the case, or did we draw one? No, we drew to Atalanta, so we must have got less than that. But it was enough to get through into the top 8. Liverpool, I think, lost one game and they won with Barcelona at 21 points. So we know what we need to do to get into that top 8. You've got to win at least 6 games, in my opinion, out of the 8 to guarantee you getting into that kind of last 8. And it starts tonight. We have to win tonight. I think we should be winning tonight. I think we're in a position where we have to be serious about Athletic Bilbao. I understand they've got a couple of injuries, but so have Arsenal. You know, a lot of people forget that Arsenal have got a lot of players out already. Yeah, with a few games gone. You know, we're going to talk about the injuries, but last season, that would have really affected us already. With the squad we had last season, we would have all been quite open to putting our hands up and going, our squad's weak. Now, it's definitely far from being weak. We're in a good position, people. A very good position, squad-wise. I was on a podcast last night with Sophie talking about our strength in depth, and I think it's something we have to be aware of, and something we have to definitely look at, because I think it's let us down. I think the manager has definitely been a part of the blame, but I look at the squad depth and think we just were short. And the injuries that we had are no excuse. So if you're blaming injuries, it's because your squad's not strong enough, is my point. I don't think we can blame injuries, because we've already got players out that we've been able to cover. Now, you let me know in the chat, but I don't think we're massively short, like, in any area. I don't look at the areas and think we haven't even got a proper player that can play there. You could probably be fussy and say you might want a better backup striker. Maybe you want an out-and-out left winger instead of one who does a job there. Maybe you want an out-and-out left back instead of one who does a job there. There's certainly areas for me that we can improve on. I don't think there's any club in the world that can't improve on what they've got. I could say that we need an out-and-out left back. I can say that we might need maybe a better box-to-box midfielder if Rice was to go down. Maybe we need an out-and-out winger instead of playing one out there. Maybe we need someone more reliable than Havertz and Jesus to back up Gyökeres. They're the 4 positions I'd look at in January and the summer, saying, yeah, I can understand if we went and got those positions. But we certainly aren't short in any of the areas. We're not looking at areas right now thinking, I just don't even know who the hell's going to play there. And it weren't long ago we were deciding who can play out on the wing, Sterling or Fabio Vieira. It weren't long ago we were saying who's going to be better, Rob Holding or Austin Trusty. We weren't looking long ago thinking, crikey, Tierney's out. We've got to play Zinchenko or Nun Tavares. It wasn't that long ago, people. So I think we have to praise Arteta and Andrea Berta in that respect. I think what they've done this summer has definitely put us in a position where we can afford to rotate in this game. And that one's going to be interesting for me to see what we do. Are we going to rotate? Are we going to go to the next level? Are we going to actually go and make complete changes from top to bottom? That one's going to be interesting for me. So let's see where we're at. Okay. Let's take a look, shall we, at what we have got coming up. I'm going to go through the press conference because I think Mikel Arteta, he's spoken. It might give us an idea about what we're doing. I'm going to go through the 11 that I would pick and through the 11 that I think he will go with, and then we'll go through some news as well. So let's take a look, first of all, at the press conference, shall we? I've gone through Arsblog. It's every single word from the Bilbao game. So let's go through it, shall we? Okay, wicked. Let's make it a bit bigger so people can actually see it, because that is quite small, right? Why is it so small? Except, can people see that? Yeah, that's a bit better, isn't it? Okay, so here's what he had to say. He was asked on the feeling in the camp coming into this game. He said that we're excited to start again from scratch in a beautiful place, in a stadium that is going to generate something special. We're looking forward to that, and I'm very excited again to step-by-step start to build momentum and start to have some wins. I've got to say, if I could pick tickets and flights to any of the Champions League games that we got drawn against, I wanted to go to Bilbao. I just didn't have time to book flights because it was the first game and get there and back. And yeah, it just wasn't going to happen. But I would have happily got out there because it's one that I did look at and think, that's what I fancy. He was asked on the team news. He says, Gabby Jesus, Kai Havertz, Ben White and Martin Odegaard are all out, unfortunately. Now, we're no shock. There's no shock that Gabby Jesus is out. He is training on grass, but he's going to be a few months away from his fitness. Kai Havertz, I believe, is making good, steady progress, but we don't expect to see him for a few weeks at least. Ben White, not sure what's happening with Ben White. I thought he was back in training. Maybe he's had a setback, but from what I understand, him and Norgard were both training and just aren't fit yet. But I could be wrong there. It could be that he's had another setback. I haven't seen any news or updates on that one. Martin Odegaard. Frustrating, if I'm honest. A lot of people will say it's great that Martin Odegaard's out. Now he can play Ezra, or now he can play Waneri. Look, let's be honest. We want everybody fit, right? We're not everybody fit. Big up to DG, man. Legend. Smash the likes, people. Make sure you're following Deluded Gunnar as well. We've got 230 people in here already. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. And make sure you're following Match Bingo and OK Jerseys as our two sponsors as well, people. I'll be honest. Martin Odegaard has not impressed me for the best part of 12 to 18 months. But I want him fit. It doesn't mean I want him playing every game. It doesn't mean I want him to be the guy that we all look at and think is the absolute leader and captain and, best player at the club. But when he went down, a part of me was frustrated. Now, it definitely gave the opportunity for Ethan, who I thought played well and we'll touch on in a minute. It definitely gave the opportunities for Ezra to be more central should he want to go down that route. But I want everybody fit. It's like Havertz. He's not my favourite player. Jesus, is he really the future of Arsenal? I want them both fit, though, as options. I want everybody to be fit. I don't want players going down. I don't care if you rate them. Like Norgard, I want him fit. Yeah, Marino, I want him fit. Calafiori, Lewis-Skelly, Incapie, Mosquera, I want them all fit. Like some people, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, oh, good, he's injured. Now he can play so-and-so. It's not good that he's injured. Yeah, it's not good that people are injured. Ben White, I just don't really know what's happened. He's struggled with fitness for the past 12 months. And I think the manager overplayed him. I think the manager put a lot of time and reliance on Ben White when both Tomiyasu and Timber were out for the majority of the season last year or the year before, sorry. And I think Ben White's injury has been a struggle since he's been asked to play an unbelievable amount of games. If you look at the amount of games he's played in the last 4 or 5 years, I think you'll be shocked. So that's what I think is wrong with him. He just needs to get back to fitness. So hopefully it's not too bad. And hopefully he can shake it off, for the weekend, because we need these players fit for the Man City game. So, even if they're not starting, they need to be on the bench. So we've got options. Jesus and Havertz at the moment. It's a shame that both of our backup strikers are out. But, if Gyökeres was to go down at the moment, it's probably going to be Martinelli or Merino that plays there. Ben White, we've still got Jurriën Timber. Martin Odegaard, we've still got Waneri that can play there, Eza that can play there. And if we were desperate, we could bring somebody else into the mix like Merino, or maybe we can even play Max Dowman there. But for me, I think at the moment we're okay in attacking midfield. But Martin Odegaard, certainly we do need him back. That's for sure. He was asked on the popularity of more direct play. That's something that definitely changed at the weekend against Forest. He says the evolution of the game's faster, spaces are smaller, and everybody is trying to take advantage of other aspects of the game that are obviously key to win football matches. At the end, you have to dominate nowadays. Everything in football is to give yourself the best chance to win games. Now, I appreciate what he means by you have to dominate. And you do have to dominate the football game. I totally agree with that. What I don't agree with is that you have to keep possession and keep it simple and keep it negative and keep passing the ball round. Go 17 passes and you haven't moved out your half. That's dominating possession, but you're not actually doing anything with it. So I appreciate it means you have to dominate, but you also have to attack. And that's what I think he did against Forest. I've got to be honest, I gave Arteta a good rating because I felt like he deserved credit. I felt like he changed. So let's see. On his experience of the rivalry between Athletic Club and Sociedad. Now, why is he talking about this? Is that because of what he used to play for Sociedad? I guess. It's a very random question. It's a long time ago. But yeah, of course, we land in Bilbao. That's normal where I land when I go back home. Oh, to San Sebastian. Okay, I get the link now. It's an hour drive from there. All my family's from there. San Sebastian is an unbelievable place, by the way. And you just sense the passion, rivalry, football atmosphere. It's great to be here. I've never been in this stadium before, so it's a good experience. Odegaard has not travelled. And if I'm honest with you, I'm happy with that. I'll be real with you. Now that Odegaard and Saka have got knocks, I want them back, but I don't want to see them now until the West Ham game. Because I just want them to have this layoff, because there's no point rushing them back, potentially having them out. I can understand it last season when we had Real Madrid and PSG. You wanted to try and get to the final of the Champions League. I totally get it. But we don't need to do that right now. I'd rather them miss another 6 weeks than miss another 6 months. Let's make sure they're 100% fit. Yeah. The last thing I need for Saka is to come back with a hamstring that's not quite right. I don't want Odegaard to come back with a shoulder that if he gets flicked or barged, it's going to pop out. I don't want that. Saliba, likewise. If he's fit and he's training, great. Don't play him tonight. Play him at the weekend where we need him for Man City. That's where I'm at. Like that is just where I'm at right now. So I'm glad that Odegaard didn't travel. He's obviously not 100%. This is quite interesting because he's talking about how he now has the chance to rotate, which is saying that we've spoken about, chat, right? About how we can actually get some of these players rested, some of these players rotated. We've seen it in the games. In 60 minutes, he makes changes. He gets to a stage where he wants to then change it up. I totally agree and think it's a good thing. So I like that. And it looks like he does as well. He says it will depend on the availability of the squad, the form of the players. Now, unfortunately, we have a few players already out. So it's already limited certain positions, but hopefully we come to the point that the competition and the level of performance of the players is high, that we're able to do that very efficient to win more football matches as objective. Now, a lot of people who ask this question, right? Should we be rotating in the Champions League, or should we just be playing our first 11 now until we get Port Vale and then the FA Cup starts? I think you start to rotate in a number of games now, because one of the biggest downfalls we had was playing the same 11. Jurgen Klopp did it for the best part of 3 seasons at Liverpool, and then they were absolutely depleted at the back and scraped top 4, playing Nat Phillips at the back and Ben Davies at the back and Reece Williams at the back. They were struggling. Arsenal was similar to that last season, with no Saka, with no Jesus, with Kai Havertz out, Martinelli with a hamstring, Odegaard not 100% fit, Merino playing as a striker. That was kind of where we were at, but we had it flip reverse, right? So we had all the defenders fit, but none of our attack fit. Liverpool had all their attacks, so they were scoring, but they were conceding because they had no defenders. And that I put down to Jurgen Klopp and Arteta playing the same 11 too many times. Like those players that all got hamstring injuries were all because of overload. Gabriel, if you count the number of games he was playing, it was mad. And some would say he shouldn't have played Gabriel because, this and that. Gabriel could have still got injured even if he would have rested him for another game. It was going to happen. The damage was already done. And my fear is that the damage is already done with a few of these players. Let's hope Saka comes back, but will he? Let's hope Gabriel, Havertz, all these guys come back, but will he? Is Odegaard going to come back? These injuries were bad injuries, man. And Odegaard's was a bit different because it was over on international break. But Gabriel and Saliba were playing an unbelievable amount of games. Saka, overworked, overused, burnt out. Havertz, to be fair to him, playing a lot of football. And they play a lot of football internationally now, these guys. So we've got to rest them. Do we need to be playing our best players against Preston and Bolton in the Carabao Cup? No, but we did. When you beat PSV 7-1 in the first leg and you've got to play them in the second leg, do you really need to be playing your first 11? No, but we did. It's poor in-game management, if I'm honest. It's not good enough. Not good enough. So that's my thoughts on it. He was asked on whether Gyökeres can be rotated in the absence of Jesus and Havertz. This is interesting. He said, let's see. At Forest at the end, Marino played as a 9. We have Leandro Trossard who can play there. We have other options and other formations that we can adjust to. And at the moment, Victor's doing really well. So I'm really happy with that. Okay. What he's saying there is, with Havertz and Jesus out, we are short. He doesn't want to say that. So he says Mikel Merino can play there, which we saw last season. To be fair, Trossard and Martinelli can play through the middle. However, we're probably, in my opinion, in the summer, going to be looking at another backup striker. And you know who I want. I want Declan Rice's best mate, Jarrod Bowen. That's who I want. Can play across the front three, killer in front of goal, good finisher. Would come to Arsenal. You know, people, he loves West Ham. Yeah, so did Rice. Do you know what I mean? That's who I'd be getting. Because I think Jesus' future is up. I think Havertz could even go in the summer if he doesn't sign a new deal. And Trossard and Martinelli's futures are definitely... I think all 4 of them players could be potentially out at Arsenal. I think their time could be up at Arsenal. So I don't want to talk about players coming in and out. We've done that for the last few months, right? Enough. But I think that paragraph there, I think he knows he doesn't really have the option to rotate Gyökeres like he would like still after all these players that we've got. So is Martinelli and Trossard and Marino the right option to cover for Gyökeres? I'm not sure. We have Havertz and Jesus there, different story. We've got 2 options. But with them 2 out, I don't think he likes Marino, Martinelli or Trossard there. Some would say he does because Mikel Merino played well there and he's obviously played there at the weekend when Gyökeres came off. So there are options. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we can't do anything. But I would just be very surprised if he'd be absolutely happy with that. So do me a favor, mods. Let's get the likes up, people. Come on, let's do it. We've only got 63 likes, which is mad because there's 300 people in here. So we should have 150 likes by now. So hit the like and subscribe button, please, people. Let's get us up to 50. 4K is the next one, I think. Next target towards 60. So let's make sure we're doing that, people. Okay. On Saka's fitness, he said, no, there's still quite a lot of things to go through. It's very early to understand when and which week that he's going to be available, but he'll certainly be pushing to be available as quickly as possible. Now, there was a lot of talk about him being fit for the Forest game and that he might be back in the squad. I was so glad that he wasn't there. I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. I do not want to see Bukayo Saka until we play West Ham or Fulham after the international break. I do not want to see that. If I see him against Man City or Newcastle, then he's going to play for England. And I do not want that. Yeah, because let's not forget, after Man City and Newcastle, we've got another bloody international break, I think it is. Yeah, I'm sure that's right, unless you correct me if I'm wrong. Where are we? We've got Forest, then we got Newcastle, haven't we? And then I'm sure it's the international break. Or am I wrong? No, after West Ham, sorry. So it's after West Ham. So I want to see him Fulham then. I want to see him after that international break. I don't want him coming back. I just don't. Like, let him rest. Let him lay off. He's had an unbelievable amount of football. He's come back from a horrific injury. He's been rushed back. He's injured again. It's the other hamstring. Let him rest, man. Like, oh, we got Man City and Newcastle. Yeah, Madueke will play. That's what we got a squad for now, right? So that's where I'm at. Like that's where I'm at. So be interesting. Didn't get a notification for the show today, Mum says. Yeah, no, that sometimes happens. It happened to me the other day, actually. I went live and nothing happened. Nothing's happened for me today either. So I don't know why that is, to be honest. So yeah, bit bizarre. Sometimes it does that, YouTube. YouTube's having problems at the moment as well. The YouTube studio has been moving absolutely mad. And I think that's why it's affected some of the views, to be honest, because YouTube's been a bit down. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We still got over 300 of you in here, though. So big up to everyone that is here. I know we normally have more, but maybe there's an issue with YouTube today. It's a mad one. But big up to you all that are here. Let's keep going. So that's Saka's fitness. I'm happy for Madueke. I'm happy for Madueke to continue there. He's playing well at the moment. We don't miss Saka right now. He was one of the performers of the weekend for me, for Arsenal. So I don't think we're in a position where we have to be loving, get Saka back, get Saka back. We all want him back, but let's make sure he's back when he's fit, right? That's what I'm getting at. He was asked on whether he senses Arsenal could win the Champions League after a summer spent strengthening the squad. He said, yep, like the rest of the teams, they've done the same and they've continued to do that and they've won it in many occasions. That's the aim in the beginning, but we all know it's going to be a really long journey. The margins in this competition are super small and you have to be at your very best from day one to give yourself the best possible chance. Now, I do think that he's going to take the Premier League and the Champions League very seriously. So I hope that doesn't mean he takes the domestic cups less seriously and puts them in the bin like he has done, because we are going to need to go all out for that one, right? But for me, what I need to see is a Champions League and the Premier League. I need to see that picking up, man. So let's see how seriously he takes it. Can Arsenal win the Champions League? Yeah, I think we can. People might say we're crazy. I think we can. I don't think we will, but I think we can. I look at the squad and think it's good enough. Can the manager get us across? Not sure. Not sure for me, but I hope so. PSG will be difficult to beat. Real Madrid will be difficult to beat. They always are. Liverpool will be difficult to beat. Bayern Munich will be difficult to beat. But after that, I fancy our chances against the others. I don't think they'll be easy to beat. Even Chelsea, English teams, Barcelona is another team that will be up there. Inter Milan's, all these guys will be difficult to beat. But do I go into the games anymore fearing them? No, I don't. Because I think Arsenal got a good enough squad, man. That's where I'm at. Okay, he's asked on what he'd learned from last season's competition. He said he's learned that we're good enough, that we can compete against any opposition on the day. And on top of that, two things have to go your way. You need to have a full squad available when it comes to the most critical moments in the season. And then as well, the ball has to go in at the right moment with the right decision. It is to be as well because the margins are so small. So that's the reason he's kind of using as an excuse as to why Arsenal didn't win it last year. Because we weren't able to put the ball in the back of the net at the right moments. I think Donnarumma had a lot to say in that. And also, we didn't have the squad depth because Mourinho was playing up top and we'd had unfit players playing and we had players that were still out for the season. I understand what he's saying is true, but we can't be looking at that as excuses for this season. We can't be saying that we've got players out and that we're missing chances in front of goal and that should have gone in because let's be real, Arsenal are one of the biggest what-if clubs that I've ever known. Yeah. The amount of times I've said, what if we didn't move to the Emirates and put ourselves in debt when we were winning every week? What if David Dein didn't leave at a crucial time? What if Patrick Vieira and Ashley Cole didn't go at the time when we went to the Emirates? What if Thierry Henry would have put the ball in the back of the net against Barcelona in the Champions League final? We win that. What if we didn't break the Invincibles up too soon? What if Eduardo wouldn't have broken his leg? We get so many of those, right? How many what-if moments are there in everybody's footballing career? You can say it as a Newcastle, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Fulham, Wolves, or Brentford fan. Everybody's got what-if moments. I don't want to hear what-ifs. I want to hear this is what we did. And this is what we achieved and got across the line. Hopefully, that's what we do at the end of the season come March of the Carabao Cup or May as well. On the decision to add so many new players being based on last season's injuries, he said, well, when we're training and we had 8 or 9 fit players, we're going to games with 13 players and that level is extremely difficult. I think even without conditioned, we did really, really well. We give ourselves an unbelievable chance and we're very lucky in the semi-final not to get through. Very unlucky in the semi-final not to get through. This has really hurt him, hasn't it? These injuries from last season has really, really hurt him. You can feel it when he's talking, when you're listening to him, when you're hearing what he's saying. You can really sense it. Like I personally do feel like he went through a little bit of. He might need a little bit of therapy, bless him, because he really has struggled. He keeps using it, keeps bringing it up. People keep talking about last season we had injuries. No, that wasn't the question, but he keeps talking about it. Now, I appreciate we had an unbelievable amount of injuries. It was horrible, right? Absolutely horrible. But when that happens this season, if it happens this season, if we replicate that amount, I'll be stunned. However, if it happens again, we haven't got that anymore because we've got Ethan to come in. We've got Max coming through. We've got Madueke. We've got Eza. We've got Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz, Jesus. We've got Marino. We've got Norgard. We've got Zubamendi and Rice. We've got Mosquera, Incapie, Calafiori, Lewis-Skelly, Ben White. There's no excuses now for this. That's where I'm at. Hit the likes up, people. Okay, let's move. He was asked on the Hertha last season semi-final and how much it drives him. He says, well, it is that. And at that moment, you get deflated. You have to understand what you need to do to put yourself back in the same position and start actions that matter to give yourself the chance to achieve that. You take a lot of learnings from it. It's painful because it's not about what we feel. It's about the expectation that we created and the real conviction that we had within the club. The team that we could go all the way showed a very high level of consistency and quality throughout the competition. We need to learn from it and try to be better. To be fair, I agree we have to be better. But we did well last season to get to the semi-final with Marino up top. Let's just say it how it is. That was pretty incredible to do that, but it weren't good enough. On using the hurt of last season to win the Champions League, it's not that simple. You're so willing to do it. You want to be better. I sense very clear intention that they want to be better every single day, and that's the start. There's nothing else to control. Create energy, belief amongst the players, understanding and feeling that we can compete against any opposition. And certainly they have that. Yeah, it's a silly question, really, because, of course, you want to be using the hurt of last season to win the Champions League. But it doesn't always mean that when you lose, that you're going to win the next time, because there's been a lot of hurt over the last 37 years of my life in Europe with Arsenal. They have not been able to win the European Cup or the Champions League. Cup Winners' Cup and Fairs Cup's best we've got. So, you know, you look at the 70s and the 90s and think fair play with Arsenal in trophies. I think we've won unbelievable amounts in the 70s and in the 90s. But you look in the 2000s, after Wenger was kind of coming to the end of his trophy winning, 2006 to 2009, was it? 2013 was the first time that we really won again. That was a drought, and we're at a trophy drought in a moment. And in Europe, our heritage isn't great. You know, that's why we need to win a couple of these Champions Leagues in the next 5-6 years, because we've got to catch up with these guys. He was asked on whether his family are attending the game tomorrow. He says all of them no, majority will come, and we're looking forward to that. He was asked on Arsenal feeling pressure, having never won the Champions League. He says that tells you with our long history how difficult it is. We haven't won it yet. That's the opportunity. How I see it, the pressure is opportunity that thrives, energy, willingness to be better every single day and to make decisions that are in that direction. Every decision has to be with those standards and with those expectations, and let's give our best chance to try to do it. I want to win the Champions League more than the Premier League, and I've said that for the last couple of seasons. I think winning the Champions League would be better than the Premier League for Arsenal. Not because we don't need a Premier League, because we absolutely do. I know that we've got 13 of them, but I would absolutely love to get to 20, like the other two clubs. But that's 7 Premier League titles away. What we can do by winning the Champions League is shut everybody up. Not just Chelsea and Man City fans who think they're bigger because they've got one and we ain't. But shut everybody up that wants to talk about European heritage. Tottenham want to talk about European heritage. Forest, Villa, they can all talk about it more than we can. And that's the frustrating part for me. I would love nothing more than us to win the Champions League. If we can do both, even better. People have said to me, which one do you want? Well, I want both, of course, right? I want all 4. But I've got to be realistic. If I could pick one, Champions League. And do you know what? I think we've got more chance of winning the Champions League than the Premier League because it's actually easier to win. And that sounds a mad thing to say when Arsenal have never, ever won it. But I think it's a little bit lucky. You have to be a little bit lucky to win the Champions League sometimes. There's no way you can tell me Chelsea were the best team in Europe in 2012. They weren't the best in 2021. Liverpool weren't the best when they won it in 2005. You don't have to be the best to win the Champions League, but you have to be the best to win the Premier League, which is why it's easier to win the Champions League, which some people won't think makes sense because Arsenal have never won it. It is a bit luck of the draw sometimes. Disappointments, past disappointments, helping sides in the Champions League. This is the big clubs. They try 7, 8, 9 times and they win 2. So in this competition, it's going to be 1 and you fail much more than you can succeed. This is it. This is it. Sir Alex Ferguson won 2 Champions Leagues, didn't he? And he was there for 25 years. So let's not act like it's an easy thing to do. But I think it's still easier than the Premier League because maybe easier is the wrong word. Maybe you have a bit more luck to win it. You can have a bit more luck is probably the way to look at it. Because I think that's what happened, if I'm honest, with a couple of players, a couple of teams. The luck of the draw, the luck of the goal. You know, Manchester United against Bayern Munich, how did they win that game? Liverpool against AC Milan. Wasn't lucky, but penalties were really at the end. So you need a little bit of luck to go your way is what I'm getting at. He's been labelled on one of the best managers in the world by Valverde and what he feels returning to the Basque region. First of all, I'd like to thank him for his words. For me, he's always been a reference for several reasons. Firstly, because he's been in this profession for 20 years. Wherever he's got, he's left 2 things. First of all, successes in the clubs that he's worked for and the mark he made in the way that he behaves, the humanity he shows and how natural he is in his profession. Above all, I think there's a way of doing things that puts him apart from many other managers. What I need to do is learn from him and improve. And the second question, I'm very glad to be back. It's been 20 years since I was here professionally, obviously in a different role, and I very much wanted to come and experience the atmosphere in this stadium and to face a rival that's going to be very difficult, demanding, but I'm very excited. Do you know what? Ernesto Valverde I've known very little about, obviously being Athletic Bilbao. I don't think that it's a bad thing when there's that level of respect for managers. I think it's a good thing. When there's a rivalry, though, I don't want to be hearing any of this stuff. Any of this happy clapping and like hugging each other and, you know, oh, we're the best. Aren't you so great? Oh, no, you're brilliant. No, you're brilliant. No, you're brilliant. I don't like that when it comes to rivals. But with this sort of thing, I like it and I respect it. I don't think that Mikel Arteta is one of the best managers in the world. I've got to be honest. I don't think that he is. I don't think he's there yet. When I look at one of the best managers in the world, for me, you have to look at the level of a Jose Mourinho CV, an Antonio Conte CV, Diego Simeone, Zidane, Carlo Ancelotti, Pep Guardiola, Allegri, Hansi Flick, Luis Enrique, Jurgen Klopp. I don't think Arteta's in that bracket yet. I think Arteta is in the similar bracket below it. I think that he's a very well-respected manager now, and I think he's proven that he can earn his stripes at that level in terms of competing. But he needs to get across the line. Now, people will put him in the same ilk as an Eddie Howe or an Unai Emery, or maybe they'll put him in the same as a Glasner. But those guys have all won stuff before him. So he needs to now prove that he is at that level by winning. Now, when it comes to the other names I mentioned previously to that, I think he's got a few years to prove that he can be in that level. That's my honest opinion on him. And I don't hate Arteta. People think I hate him. I don't know him. Never met the guy. Yeah, I'm sure we'd have a brilliant drink, a glass of wine and have a chat. But I'm not in the position to have a drink and a chat with him and talk about him as a person. I need to look at, is he good enough to get Arsenal across the line? Is he a good enough manager? And I think he's a good manager. I think he's proven that. But being a good manager and being the elite manager are very, very different. Very different. Let's be real. David Moyes is a good manager. Sam Allardyce, Tony Pulis, all the ones Sean Dyche you all laugh at. They're all good managers. Of course they are. But they're not elite, are they? They're not the great. You don't put them in the bracket of the tier list up there with the best. And that's where I'm at with Arteta. And some people think that's harsh. That's fine. You have your opinion. If you think he's up there with Pep and Wenger, then go for it. But he ain't for me. He just ain't yet. He was asked on whether the pre-season game with Athletic has helped Arsenal prepare for the game. Yeah, if you remember, we actually did play them in pre-season at the Emirates, and we played excellent. It was our best pre-season game by far. Gyökeres scored, Zubimendi set him up. I think we got a few goals. Saka scored, and somebody else did as well. I think it was 3-0. So, yeah, we have played them already. He says, no, it was useful to obtain some info and have a good feeling after the match, but we know tomorrow's going to be a different world. He's right. Pre-season is different to the Champions League game. This is the Champions League. The level of both teams will rise. The context will be different, and it's going to be a very different game. And I hope that we can get the result that we want. That's fair. On injuries to Spain's top players, including Yamal and Nico Williams on international duty, whether losing them to Interlals is frustrating. Yes, because Spain lost 3 important players, but Arsenal have also lost 3 important players through injuries this season. And this is part of the normal process. We just have to try to get these players ready. And it's almost impossible to play 64 matches. That's why all managers and clubs need players and more resources. 64 matches is what some of these players are being asked to play. Now, if you're a squad that has to play 64 games, club and country, etc., I just think you need to be putting in a minimum expectation and a minimum requirement and saying that you can register a minimum of 30 players. Or is it a maximum, should I say? Yeah, maximum of 30 players, not 25. Now, I appreciate that under 21s don't count, right? But I think you need to be looking at either dropping more games, dropping a competition, and I don't mean one of the domestic cups. I mean dropping the Nations League, dropping pointless friendlies. Like for England, do we need loads of friendlies? Seriously, I don't think we do. Because when you get a group qualifier and you play Liechtenstein and Moldova and Andorra and the Faroe Islands, do you need friendlies or can you just play them and say they're your friendlies? Experiment in them games. Why do we need a Nations League on top of a Euros and a World Cup? We don't. I would rather them get rid of that than get rid of the League Cup or the FA Cup. FA Cup replays. Why can't they get rid of Nations League and bring FA Cup replays back? Tamworth v Spurs. Why don't they get to do a replay? Like, this is what I mean. It's frustrating as hell to look at penalty shootouts that should really be FA Cup replays. I don't get it, personally. So, I think we play a hell of a lot. Lichtsteiner. Did I say Lichtsteiner? He did play for us. Liechtenstein, I meant. He did play for us, AJ. He did. Anyway, let's continue. I think we're near the end now. He said, obviously, Athletic will try to do what they want. It's an extremely dangerous team when they want to be, and at home, they have the capacity to do that in different ways. We want a very different kind of match to what they want, and as usual, we'll try to diffuse their quality and try to use our best players. When they do go on a high press and get that out of that pressure as effectively as possible, is try to use the spaces. They change the way they play a great deal, especially depending on the context of the match. We have to try to adjust things, be very aggressive, and I hope that it'll be a very good match. He was asked on whether Marino is at the best moment in his career and whether Athletic will miss the injured Williams. Marino is a very high level for a long time. Now the transcendence of what he's doing is enormous. His quality, character, personality, and variability gives us in this performance. Regarding Nico Williams, I imagine that Ernesto Valverde would like to have him, like we would like to have our great players that can't be there tomorrow. On Arsenal, if Arsenal were interested in Nico Williams, he says, I can only say that Nico's a great player that you enjoy every week here in the national team, and I can't say much more. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. A lot there in relation to what Mikel Arteta is believing and what he thinks. I also think as well that there's an opportunity for us to take a look at how he's feeling in the first few games. I think he's still hurting from last season. I think he truly believes that he was affected by the injuries. And I know that that's an excuse, and I've spoken about that being an excuse, and I don't think that he can use that as an excuse. I think he is hurt by that. And I think he was genuinely hurt when we went out the Champions League, because I think that he believed that we could go all out and win it. And I think we could have. I think if we put the chances away that Martinelli and Trossard had, it's a different game against PSG home and away. But there's a lot of what ifs there. A lot of what ifs. So we've got to try and prevent that from happening this time round. Okay, team news. Obviously, there's no Havertz, there's no Jesus, there's no Odegaard or Ben White, but everybody else is fit. What do I think the team will be? I'm going to go with the team that I think he'll pick, and then I'm going to go with the team that I think that it should be, that I would go with. Not that it should be, the one that I would go with. This is the one that I think he'll go with. This is the team I think that he probably will select when it comes to tonight's game at 5:45, by the way, people. So don't forget it. This is what I think he'll go with. I think it will be David Raya that he will go with here. Why is that on my screen gone funny there? Oh, there's something wrong today with StreamYard or YouTube or something. But anyway, let's go through it. I can look at it. Hopefully you can see this. I think he'll go with David Raya in goal. I don't think he's going to play Kepa in this one. I've gone with Timber just because Ben White's not fit. And I don't think Mosquera will play right back. So I think it will be Timber. Mosquera, I think, should play ahead of Saliba because if I'm honest with you, Saliba is just about fit. So I wouldn't be risking him tonight. I'll be getting him ready for the weekend's game. Gabriel, I imagine, will continue with the captain's armband today. Left back, Calafiori. I've been very impressed with him. I've got to be honest with you, actually. I think he's been one of our better players so far this season to start. I think he's been excellent with his long balls. His aggressiveness has kind of slowed down a bit. He's not as rash. His positioning looks a little bit better and he can defend. There's never been any doubt about his defending. I think his attributes were sometimes better going forward on the ball, but he can certainly tackle. But his positioning was a problem for me and he was quite rash and a little bit like, rush of blood to the head would make him run around a bit too much with the ball. I think he'll go with a midfield that people won't like tonight. I think he'll go with Zubamendi, Rice, and Marino. He likes Marino there. It's against a Spanish opposition. Zubamendi and Marino are both very kind of aware of, the La Liga teams. And I'll reiterate, this is not the team that I would play. This is the team that I think he will play. And he likes this trio sometimes. He does. And I think this is going to be a game where he's not going to go all out for try and win the game 3-4, 5-0. I think we're going to look to a 1-0 to the Arsenal. So that's why I think he'll go with this trio. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. And then it's a front three as it was against Forest. Some people might play Martinelli. Some say maybe Trossard. But I think he'll go with Eza, Amadueke and Gyökeres again because I think that front three might have to get used to each other. Because while Saka and Odegaard are out, I think that is going to be the front three for a while. So I think that might be why he's going to continue and stick with this front three. That's what I will say. I don't particularly like this team because I don't think it's got enough creativity in midfield. But other than that, I don't think it's a shambles if he does go with that. Now, Marino actually had a good game, in my opinion, but it was from, of course, the left 8, not the attacking role. Now, sometimes you can look at it and go a little bit 4-4-2. So there's actually an opportunity here in some parts of the game, not all the time, for him to play Marino up top alongside Gyökeres or just literally offer the striker, a bit like where Dennis Bergkamp and Henry used to play, where Bergkamp used to drop off. I'm not comparing them both, by the way, because they're nowhere near the level. However, I think in that kind of 10 role where it just drops off, which Kai Havertz, I think people wanted him to play sometimes, but I didn't think he could. And then it will be 4-4-2 with Zubamendi and Rice dropping into a double pivot and then Marino playing just off of Gyökeres. That could be more of a 4-4-2 in and out of possession sometimes. And maybe in the last 63-minute mark, 70-minute mark, you might try and do something different at times and go, right, let's fling Marino and Gyökeres up top and go with 4-4-2. That could be the case. That could happen. So that's going to be interesting, personally, to see what he goes with. Now, a lot of people will say, well, what do we do? What happens with... what am I doing here? Why is this going funny, this? I really don't understand what is happening with this computer today. Sorry, people. Anyway. And this is what I would do. I'll put the team up that I would do. Okay. Where are we? Yeah. This is the team that I'd go with. People might disagree. Let me know in the chat. I would go with this. This is something that I've wanted to see. Okay. I want to see it. David Raya, Timber. And then I'd go with Mosquera at right centre-back. But my two left-sided defenders would be different. I want Gabriel and Saliba dropped tonight so they can be fit for the weekend's game. They need to be against Haaland. So I play Calafiore as the left-sided centre-back. And I play Nkapie at left-back. I'm hearing very good things about this guy at left-back. I'm hearing very good things about him as a footballer. Xabi Alonso loved him, said he was a colossus at the back, a monster. And I must say that I am hearing very good things for me to say, throw him in and see what he's like. Now, people might think, why are you chucking him a Champions League game? Well, he played for Leverkusen. He didn't play for Dagenham, did he? So he's got experience in the Champions League. He can play left back or left-sided centre back. You could even switch them round if you wanted and give him a half each. Say you can play centre back this half. I'll go left back first half. You switch round in the second. That for me is a very solid centre half pairing and a very solid back four still. So I think that could be what we do today. But there's a lot of people that would disagree with that. A lot of people are saying, nah, you're making too many changes in the back line. But I want Gabriel and Saliba fit for Sunday. That's the only reason I'm doing it. I would play this midfield trio because I think it's exciting. Rice plays in the 6. It means Zubimendi and Marino get a rest this time, and they'll probably come back into the mix at the weekend. But Rice for me in the holding role, and then Lewis-Skelly playing in the box-to-box 8. I think that is something that we should try to utilise this season. We've got enough left backs now. Lewis-Skelly's he's out of favour at the moment in the first team. So let's get him into midfield. He's played there in the youth system. He's looked good there. He plays there when he inverts anyway. He spends most of his time in midfield. I want to see a little bit of creativity. He's got the strength. He's got the athleticism. He suits the Spanish league, suits the Spanish opposition. Go for it. And then with Martin Odegaard out, I want Nwaneri in the mix. I want Nwaneri in the attacking midfield. Right? I thought he was excellent when he came on against Forest. I think he deserves a start. I'm not sure what more he needs to do not to get a start. He didn't get a start after the Leeds game when he came on and was excellent. He didn't start against Liverpool at Anfield. I think he deserves to start tonight. And I want to see Ethan playing. I think whilst Odegaard is out, Ethan needs to be playing. That's my opinion. And that leaves the front three of Eza, Madueke, and Gyökeres. Now, it could be that it's a different way that you look at it. You could look at it differently. And it could be that Eza comes into the mix instead of Nwaneri. So you can actually play Eza here, which means you'll probably have to play Martinelli out wide. But that could be an option. So it could be that you look at things like that. Okay? Eza could play in the 10. He could do. I just think Ethan deserves it. And Eza didn't look terrible out on the left to think, yeah, he can't play there again. So that's where I'm at with that opinion. So let me know where you're at. Because I think it could be very interesting. Like, in my opinion. Anyway. Very interesting to see where we go here. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what we go with. I don't know what's going on with my screen. I've gone all small on the screen for some reason. Hopefully you can see me. Tommy says, I think we look more balanced with Marino and Zubimendi. Your thoughts? Do you know what it was? I thought we looked more balanced because, well, it could be two reasons. The first reason is they might actually know each other quite well because they played with each other. The other reason is I actually don't like Rice in the attacking 8. Rice and Zubimendi in the double pivot works well. They didn't play like that. Marino didn't play in a double pivot the other day. So I think Nwaneri actually was the reason that we look better in midfield. That's my opinion. I thought we looked better because of Nwaneri. So that's really interesting to me. And I want to see that, man. I want to see that. I want to see it like more Nwaneri in the 10 because I thought he was excellent. I thought he was really good. Like really good. And people were saying, I'm not too sure that Nwaneri was that great. And I'm like, he was much better than Martin Odegaard. Let's just say it how it is. He was like so much better. I thought anyway, I really did. So that's where I'm kind of at. So yeah, very interesting to see your thoughts on that one. So yeah, I think it's very interesting. What is happening with my screen? This is an absolute mess at the moment. Here we go. Okay. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to play around with this afterwards when I've come off of the screen. But everybody is so small, so I'm struggling with my eyesight to see. There's something wrong with YouTube, I think. But hopefully you can all see and hear me still. Let me know in the chat if you can't, because there's something going on, which is bizarre. Technical issues, like galore here. Crazy. Anyway, 400 people in chat, only 119 likes. Let's get that up to 250, please, people. I know that you're all watching and you're just being lazy, and I get it. I'm lazy sometimes. Hit the like and subscribe button. Let's get it up to 60k, and let's get these likes at least up to 250, please. Predictions for tonight, let me know in the chat. Thanks for letting me know you're all good and you can hear me. That's the main thing. The chat I'm looking at is so minuscule that I can hardly read any of your writing, but I can see you're saying looks fine just about in my eyes. So yeah, big up to you. Look, I'm going to go for 1-0 for the Arsenal tonight. I'm going to go 1-0 to the Arsenal. I think it's going to be a kind of resolute possession-based game. I don't think we're going to go all out attack. I don't think it's going to be 4-5s. I think we're going to beat them 1-0. I think we're going to keep a clean sheet, and I think we're going to keep it very difficult and very resolute. I think we're going to have chances, but I think that we will get the goal. And I'm going to go for Victor Gyökeres to score, because I do believe that in the Champions League, he'll be judged just as he has been in the Premier League. And just lastly, before I close, the hate this guy's getting is bizarre. He's got 4 goals in 5 games. If you look at it from pre-season as well, he's got 3 goals in 4 games when it comes just to Premier League games. I do not understand why he's getting so much hate. And if it looks like he runs around in jeans, but he's scoring 3 and 4, I'll take that. What is going to happen when he's running around in joggers? So that's where I'm at. I don't think we need to be looking at that. And I think when you look at the kind of like, I don't know, what do you call it? The rival fans that have hate on your players, just let them talk, man. Just let them talk. When it comes to the Noni Madueke stuff, I made it quite clear to Robbie, to Sophie last night. I think some of the fans need to apologise. Not the ones that didn't want the signing. That's fair. You can have your opinion. I didn't want the signing. After one game, yes, I think he's the best player in the world. No. But you do need to apologise if you were a part of that petition, if you were a part of abusing players, if you were a part of abusing his family, if you were a part of spraying murals saying, get this guy out, this scumbag and all this crap. That's where you need to apologise. So don't get it twisted. I'm not saying we all need to apologise because Noni's had one good game and now we all believe he's the best thing since the Sire. That ain't the case. Apologise if you were one of those people and move on. What I'll say is give him a chance. Give him a chance in the Arsenal shirt. That's what I'm doing. Give him a chance. I didn't want him. I didn't particularly think it was the need for a striker, for that type of player. I didn't think we had a need for that type of player in the squad. The minute we signed Eza, thank God, I was cool with it. I said, right, that's good. If Madueke was coming in as the only attacker, I was going to have an issue. If he's coming in for Saka cover alongside Eza, I'm not going to have a problem. And do you know what? He was our best player at the weekend alongside Zubimendi. For me, I thought it was obvious he was going to get man of the match to Zubimendi, but Madueke was my man of the match. I thought he was brilliant every time. I thought he cooked. I thought he created chances. I thought he beat his man. The one-on-one stuff was insane. The right foot, left foot, the skill, the technical ability. If he can improve his end product, I think we've got a player there. I really do. And look, I always saw glimpses at Chelsea, but that was why it frustrated me because I didn't see enough of it. I didn't see consistent performances. And some people are going over the top saying, oh, look at what we've done in 2 training sessions. I mean, calm down. He was doing stuff like that at Chelsea at times, but he was only doing it in glimpses. He wasn't doing it in consistent games. I need to see that in consistent games because he was excellent for us the other day. I thought he was good against Liverpool at Anfield. Let's see how he plays tonight. So that's where I'm at, people. Listen, we're going to leave it there. Do me a favour. Eza, yeah. Everyone's saying, what's his name, Eza? It's Eze. It's Eze. His name's Eza, believe it or not. Can you believe his name's Eza? And everyone's been calling him Eze all this time. What's your name? Eberichi Eza. And everyone's like, what? I thought it was Eze. No, it's not. Otherwise, it would be spelled Ezeyyyyyy. Eze. So it's Eza. And everyone's been calling him Eze all this time. Even Palace fans. Crazy. Absolutely mental. But there we go. Listen, I'm going to love you and leave you on there. Thank you for super chats. Thank you for comments. Thank you for likes and subscribes. Make sure you do that. I'm going to be on in an hour with Igal on his channel, talking all things Arsenal. And I'll be live after the game for match reaction. So make sure you come and join us there. Take it easy. We'll see you soon. We're out of here. Up the Arsenal.